Hello everyone, this is Fine from Awesome Tech Gaming Pro. I hope you all are well. AMD was light on performance data when it announced its upcoming RX 7900 XTX graphics card a couple of weeks back. It wasn't that AMD didn't share numbers. The presentation was packed with them, but that they were all from uncommon resolutions, esports titles that don't stress the best graphics cards or valid by fidelity effects super resolution FSR upscaling. AMD is finally ready to share more information, a better idea of how the new flagship will stack up, and there's good and bad news. The company shared performance data for the RX 7900 XTX and RX 7900 XT in 4 games: Resident Evil Village, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, Cyberpunk 2077, and Watch Dogs Legion. The data suggests that the RX 7900 XTX could be competitive with even the NVIDIA RTX 4090 in some titles. But the RX 7900 XT, despite being close in price to the flagship model, shows a wide performance gap. Starting with the RTX 4090 comparison, AMD's data suggests the RX 7900 XTX will be about 10% to 15% slower than the NVIDIA flagship. The only data I have a direct comparison for is Cyberpunk, where the RTX 4090 reached 78 frames per second in this testing. The RX 7900 XTX reached 72 FPS based on AMD's data, about 8% slower. It's a loss, but RX 7900 XTX is also $600 cheaper than the RTX 4090. Although it's important to wait for third-party testing, I have no reason to think AMD's results are misrepresentative. In Cyberpunk game, I recorded almost the same result with the RX 6950 XT that AMD published. If AMD's numbers are accurate, the RX 7900 XTX could offer somewhere around 70% increase over the RX 6950 XT. That's exciting, but AMD's data also comes mixed with disappointment. The RX 7900 XT, which is only $100 cheaper than the RX 7900 XTX, shows a performance gap of about 17% compared to the flagship card. It's still far above AMD's best GPU from the previous generation, but it looks like the XTX is shaping up to be the better buy. Ray tracing performance is also a little disappointing. AMD talked up the improvements it made with ray tracing during the RX 7900 XTX announcement. The previous generation struggled with ray tracing compared to the competition from NVIDIA. AMD's numbers suggest that although there is an improvement, AMD won't be able to go toe-to-toe with Team Green. In Cyberpunk, with its Ultra RT preset, AMD said the RX 7900 XTX reached an average of 21 FPS without FSR turned on. The RTX 4090 reached nearly 43 FPS at this preset based on this testing. AMD's numbers show that the RX 7900 XTX may be able to compete with the RTX 3090 Ti in ray tracing performance. Although AMD's new batch of benchmarks don't show dominating performance across the board, they are still impressive when compared against the competition from NVIDIA. The main question is how the RX 7900 XTX will stack up to the RTX 4080, as only $200 separates these two high-end GPUs. For now, all we can do is wait until the RX 7900 XTX and RX 7900 XT launch on December 13. I have no reason to think AMD's numbers are off, but it's still important to view first-party benchmarks with skepticism until the independent reviews are out. AMD may have announced the Radeon RX 7900 series, but it has taken the company until how to reveal how its latest offerings compare against the RTX 4080. NVIDIA's latest Ada Lovelace architecture card, RTX 4080. Unsurprisingly, the Radeon RX 7900 XTX offers better value for money than the latest RTX 4080, while also usurping the performance of Radeon RX 6950 XT. The GeForce RTX 4080 has now arrived, albeit only the 16GB model following NVIDIA's abrupt unlaunch of the 12GB model, which the company is rumored to have repackaged as the RTX 4070 Ti. There is still almost a month's wait before AMD starts selling the Radeon RX 7900 XT and the Radeon RX 7900 XTX 2. At launch, AMD decided against revealing too many performance details, with the company confirming essential specifications, pricing, and a release date instead. AMD has now published some gaming benchmarks as well as several performance metrics, just as the RTX 4080 becomes orderable. To recap, the RTX 4080 offers 16 GB of GDDR6X VRAM with a 256-bit bus and 717 GB per second memory bandwidth. By contrast, the Radeon RX 7900 XT has 20 GB of slower GDDR6 VRAM but with an 800 GB per second bandwidth because of its wider 320-bit bus. The Radeon RX 7900 XTX goes even further too, with 24 GB of GDDR6 VRAM on a 384-bit bus to deliver a bandwidth of 960 GB per second. AMD is marketing both RX 7900 cards as outperforming the Radeon RX 6950 XT when gaming in 4K at maximum settings. Supposedly, the pair manage this feat with FSR off or on. Although AMD has left fans in the take about how the RX 7900 XT or RX 7900 XTX stack up against the RTX 4080 in this regard. Instead, the company has sought to highlight that both cards offer higher teraflops than the RTX 4080, but at a lower price. Specifically, while the RTX 4080 peaks at a mere 49 teraflops, the Radeon RX 7900 XT and Radeon RX 7900 XTX offer 52 teraflops and 61 teraflops respectively. The Radeon RX 7900 series will be available from December 13. At launch, the Radeon RX 7900 XT should retail for US $900, with the Radeon RX 7900 XTX priced US $100 higher. In comparison, the RTX 4080 will arrive sooner, but for $1200 US dollar. Overall, AMD is positioning the Radeon RX 7900 series as providing better value for money than the RTX 4080, with added bonus like DisplayPort 2.1 compatibility and a USB Type-C port. Presumably, AMD will reveal gaming benchmarks within the next few weeks following the RTX 4080's release. And AMD Radeon RX 7900 XT is the second among the two cards AMD will introduce in the first wave of RX 7000 series launches. This card is based on the new Navi 3 architecture and brings almost 60 to 70% performance gains compared to the last gen products. The RX 7900 XT will likely replace the last gen Radeon RX 6950 XT AMD introduced this card as a slightly improved version of the flagship Radeon RX 6900 XT from 2020. However, the company has not revealed a bunch of information on how much better the upcoming graphics card will be compared to the last gen flagship. Gamers looking to buy a new graphics card are confused about whether to wait for the next gen or buy the 6950 XT today. The 6950 XT and 7900 XT are pretty impressive on paper. The new graphics card is based on the flagship Navy 31 GPU, which comes with 5376 stream processors and 336 texture mapping units, 192 render output units, 84 RT cores, and 20 GB of GDDR6 memory, which is based on a 320-bit bus. The 6950 XT is quite close in terms of on-paper specifications and is based on the flagship GPU from the last gen. The Navy 21, it packs 5120 stream processors, 320 texture mapping units, 128 render output units, and 16 GB of GDDR6 memory based on a narrower 256-bit bus. Before delivering into performance difference, it is worth noting that the new graphics cards in the market, including the RTX 40 series and RX 7000 series, are physically larger than last gen equivalents, and some users might have troubling fitting them in their cases. In terms of performance, the new graphics card is almost 40% faster than the RX 6950 XT. This GPU directly competes with the RTX 4080, which is much faster than the last gen NVIDIA flagship, the RTX 3090 Ti. The 6950 XT is already a bit slower than the RTX 3090 Ti. However, gamers should take the numbers published by AMD with a grain of salt. Most of these test results are generated in an environment that cannot be regenerated in most people's setups. Thus, the performance metrics might vary in real life. Gamers should wait for the RX 7000 series card reviews before making any final decisions. So, the best option right now would be to wait for a couple of weeks and hold the upgrade to a new graphics card. Coming to the pricing, the 7900 XT and 7900 XTX is better value than the RTX 4080, I will say. So that's it from now. If you like this video, please subscribe and press the bell icon for future notifications update. Thanks for watching.
To change your